motorcycles are the highest expression of freedom. You are riding on this crazy rocket ship with two little dabs of rubber between you and death, and I love that. To me, both Bitcoin and motorcycles allow a lot of freedom to the user, but they also require a ton of responsibility. With Bitcoin, there's no support line you can call to help you with your Bitcoin. You have to know what you're doing and you have to do the research to understand that. On a motorcycle, it's very similar. If you do not know how to ride a bike, you'll very quickly find out that that's a dangerous situation to be in. And it takes a lot of mastery to ride a bike well, and a lot of focus and responsibility to ride a bike. So to me, Bitcoin and motorcycles mirror each other.
And here we have the bike for the Bitcoin Tour. It's a 2014 Harley Davidson Ultra Limited. Custom painted the bags, Bitcoin orange, of course. It's got a little bit of dust because I've driven it across Florida at this point, which was an interesting ride. Can't recommend it, but you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do. It's a sweet bike. Super pumped. Here's what the startup sounds like.
This story really starts with me getting into Bitcoin Twitter. I was never on Twitter before I got into Bitcoin, and I started following people and becoming interested in other things around Bitcoin, and I started to see all these meetups popping up. And then I went to the first Bitcoin conference in 2019 run by Bitcoin Magazine, which they just said the last one in April in Bitcoin 2022. And that was when I realized these are my people. This is what I'm interested in. It's Bitcoin, not anything else. So yeah, I just started following meetup accounts when I thought maybe I could do a road trip. I just followed all these accounts for just different meetups all around the country, and eventually started mapping out where these meetups were. And I thought a good place to start would be at the Bitcoin conference. I'll meet a lot of people there. It would be a great place to kick off the tour, and it's in a corner of the country, so I can go all over from Miami.
All right. I am staying in Miami Beach. Thankfully, I have a friend that lives like 5 blocks from the convention center, so crashing on his couch. He is actually not home though, so I've got a whole bed for the next couple days. Like 3 or 4 days in Miami now, so take it with a grain of salt. But I've lived in New York, I grew up in suburbia in America, and I've been outside of the US for the last 3 years. And Miami just strikes me as different from any other city I've been to in the US. There's a lot of energy here, a lot of young people building stuff. It's a cool place.
There isn't one definition of what a Bitcoin meetup is or should be. In general, I found that it's just a collection of people who have an interest in Bitcoin and come together and want to meet each other, talk about Bitcoin, learn about other things that they're working on in their life. I started in Texas because Texas has become really this bastion for Bitcoin. There's a lot going on in Austin, in Houston, in Dallas. So I went to Texas first.
So tell me about Austin and Texas and Bitcoin. Why is Texas a great place to build a Bitcoin business and for Bitcoiners to come?
Well, first, I'm born and raised in Austin. There's something about the culture of Texas and then the culture of Austin specifically. But really, when I think about Austin in the context of Bitcoin, it has developed into kind of a non-coastal tech hub over the last 20 to 30 years. Once Bitcoin was launched, before anybody knew it, that Austin, Texas was really destined to be a development hub for Bitcoin, if not the Bitcoin development capital of the world, which I think it is emerging into.
I am here in Kerrville, Texas, ready to go to the Beef Initiative conference. The Beef Initiative is all about connecting ranchers. These ranchers are basically going direct to consumers of beef and serving them a much higher quality product like hormone, antibiotic-free type meat that's free-range, grass-fed.
This is a grassroots organization. You're going to hear Slim talk about that even more. So welcome. And now I'd like to hand it over to Texas Slim.
Good morning, guys. Texas Slim.
Ready to line you up here. Here we go. Yeah. It's been a long time coming, hasn't it?
Well, just finished up with the speaking portion of the Beef Initiative conference. A lot of really interesting discussions. I just didn't understand how pervasive processed food is, that just about everything you buy at a grocery store goes through the hands of large companies that you have no relationship with and frankly don't really care about you. Learned a lot about health, about beef. Ordered a box to cook beef on my tailpipe on the motorcycle. So I like motorcycles because there's no protection between you and the environment. You're in the environment, and when you do that times 3 hours on the highway going 60 miles an hour, that load on your brain just exhausts you in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah.
And when you're really frazzled and nervous or whatever you have going on, if you spend time on a road in that kind of environment, it just has to melt away.
A motorcycle trip on, a highway across the country or something like that, that's just a form of meditation.
So you work with ranchers a lot with the Beef Initiative.
Mm-hmm.
What are the entry points that you see for them with Bitcoin? Like what makes sense to them when you're talking about Bitcoin, or what are the challenges?
Right. Well, you look at the ranching industry, nobody really knows. They think ranching is Yellowstone on TV. Yeah. Well, it's not. Ranching is 24/7 proof of work. It's a decentralized form of peer-to-peer communication that brings a store of value to themselves and to the American people as far as nutrition. They know what food is, and they have to know what food is. They have to know what that store of value to you is, and that's pure animal protein. That's that nutrition that they're stealing from us. Just like they're stealing the value of our dollar, they're stealing the value of our nutrition. It is hand in hand. And a lot of people in the Bitcoin space do not understand that you better start looking at food as hard as you're looking at the US dollar, because the US dollar is debased more than we've ever seen, of course. We know what's going on with, monetary systems and all that. Why is it that you think as an individual that food is not just as debased as that dollar is? And if that food and that nutrient is debased as the dollar is, how do you think you're going to have any health in this life?
So this just arrived from Amazon. The chef at the Beef Initiative told me about this way of cooking food, which is basically wrapping it in foil and putting it on your exhaust pipe to heat it. And come to find out, this is like a way of life of cooking. There are whole cookbooks about what's called Manifold Cooking. So I bought this to strap to the exhaust pipe, probably right here. And I'll be putting food inside here and trying to cook, and we'll see what comes out. Like, who knows, you put a steak in there for 30 miles and you might have a beautifully cooked steak. So more updates on this coming soon.